So when we're multiplying with decimals, there's a couple things we need to take note of, but it's essentially exactly the same as with regular whole numbers, but with one small tweak at the end. And I want to show today using the lattice method, as some people prefer that over the traditional method. If I had a problem like 5 2/10 times 1 25/100, okay, then to set up this lattice method I have 1, 2, 3 by 2. So I need to go, I'll go 3 across and 2 down. 1 25/100 times 5 2/10. So I'm setting it up 3 by 2, 3 digits by 2 digits. And if you're familiar with this, you're going to draw diagonal lines here. Then each box is kind of like a multiplication table. 5 times 5 makes 25. 5 times 2 makes 10. 2 times 2 makes 4. 2 times 5 is 10. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. Then you can see I have these diagonal rows. I'm going to add those up. So that's 0, that's 6 and 10. Carry my 1 to the next row over. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, and a 0. So the last step in this is I have to figure out where to place my decimal. Well, I look and there's 1, 2, 3 decimal places in my problem. What a decimal place is, that equals the numbers behind decimal point. So if there's 3 in the problem, there's going to be 3 decimal places in the answer. So I look and I say 1, 2, 3. So this is, my final answer would be 6.500 or 6.5. Should I think about it, it makes sense because this is a little over 5. 5 2/10 is right about 5. 1 25/100 is right around 1. So 5 times 1 would get me an answer of 5, which is really close to 6.5. This is using estimation to check and see, does my answer make any sense? If I'm taking 5 and I'm multiplying by a little over 1, it's going to be a little over 5, 6.5. Let's try maybe one more. If I had 16 4/10 times 8 94/100, we'll just say. Again, looking at this, there's 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So my answer has to have 3 decimal places. Setting it up, this is a 3 by 3 box. Doesn't matter which goes where. Set it up. Four times 4 is 16. 4 times 9 is 36. 32 is 4 times 8. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 1 is 8. You can see it doesn't matter what order I do these boxes in either. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 4 is 24. 1 times 4 is 4. And 1 times 9 is 9. Add them up. 6, that's 10, 11. Carry my 1, 3, 6, 10, 16. carry it over. Just have to make sure we're organized enough to do that properly. That's 4 plus 8 is 12, 21, 26, 12, 14, and that. So I will have 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 spots over. 146 and 616 thousandths. If I estimate, maybe I would say, I'm going to make it be nice and easy. The more you round, the further away your answer will be. But maybe I said this is pretty close to 15 because 15 is a nice number. And this is close to 9. It's also close to 10. So maybe I could say, well, 15 times 10 is roughly what I'm doing, so my answer should be somewhere around 150. Or maybe you even say 16 times 10 would get me 160. You know, maybe you go with just traditional rounding and you do 16 times 9. 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 5 is 14. So you can see all these are getting me fairly close to my answer. Putting a decimal point here wouldn't make sense. 1,466, too big. 14,000, too big. 14's too small. Using estimation helps me with my reasoning there. I do want to look at one more type of problem. Maybe I would have something like 1 7/10 times 400. Okay, so one thing I do want to note is this number here, so it's like 0 and 400, is less than 1. So let's take a note as to, like if I did 1.7 times 1, it would be 1.7. But let's see what happens when I multiply by a number that's smaller than 1. So if I go, okay, this is 2 by 2, 1 7/10 times 0.04. I could put the 0 in front of it if I needed to, but I don't necessarily have to. But 7 times 0 is 0, 1 times 0 is 0, 7 times 4 is 28, 1 times 4 is 4. 8 is going to be 6, and there's going to be a 0 and a 0. So I have 1, 2, 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3 decimal places. Alright, so I'm going to go over 3 spots. This is 68 thousandths. This 0 here is key. Notice I started with 1 7/10. When I multiplied it by something less than 1, it got smaller. When you multiply by a number less than 1, your answer or your product goes down. Multiply by less than 1, it gets smaller.